Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is argue for your limitations and you get to keep them. We can spend so much effort justifying and rationalizing limitation. And when we do that, we're creating our reality just as well as when we put our attention on expansion and possibility. So that's what we're going to discuss today. It should be an interesting conversation. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. So good to have you joining us this morning. Before we get started on today's topic, let's just take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, today's topic is argue for your limitations and you get to keep them. I was having a spirited discussion with a family member yesterday who was talking about how about their future and about how there were all these factors in the job market that were going to make it impossible for them to get a position, and just really projecting forward a very, very bleak and um, tortured kind of future. And I think that that dynamic is not uncommon. I think it's something that so many of us do, where we kind of buy into a negative narrative of the way things are. The job market is terrible, or the housing market is terrible, or um, whatever. This whole conversation about how terrible things are, and how that means XYZ. That means that I'm not going to find a job, or there's no possibility, there's no opportunity. And we just go on and on. And in a way, that whole conversation liberates us, and I'm using that word somewhat tongue in cheek, from having to try, right? From having a bigger vision for ourselves. And in some way, there's a comfort in justifying why we get to stay small. And I think that this is a really important thing to be looking at, this notion of staying small and justifying our limitations before we even allow things to unfold. And my side of this spirited conversation was saying, you know what, the truth is and this is the truth, that we do not know what is going to unfold for us. And in this conversation that I had, there was a really great example of that, in that this person had taken themselves to a conference, and at the conference, they met somebody who has become an influential and instrumental person um, in their growth and evolution. They found a mentor, and I said, "Well, how did that happen?" And they said, "Well, it was completely by chance that they met this person." And that makes the case, because it makes it clear that we cannot predict. So what this person was doing was taking the past and taking statistics and taking all these factual foundation pieces of information and projecting them forward. And I said, we are enculturated to believe that the past predicts the future, but that's not really true. And I think it's a common mythos that we have bought into, and it is to our great detriment that we do so, and our peril, because we are living in unprecedented times. There are so many things that are happening now, and at such a pace that we can't use the past to predict what's next. We've not ever faced a climatological crisis that we currently face. We've never had the level, at least not in recorded memory, had the level of technology that we currently have. We've never had artificial intelligence emerging in the way that it is. And this convergence of all these different factors that are individually game changing, but the coalescence of them is new and unprecedented. There's an acceleration of information and change that we have never in recorded time experienced. And so to take the past, which is based in a very, very different precedent, and to put it in front of us and live into that, is not, at the very, very least, counterproductive. And this goes back to something that we've said here many mornings, which is, be careful, be full of care in the way that you curate your stories, because we are creating our reality in every given moment. We are creating our experience of life and whatever it is we're calling reality by the stories that we tell. We're creating the quality of our experience based on the stories that we tell, based on the things that we believe. And it is so blatantly clear that this is the case. This is not up for debate. And the strength of my point with this person yesterday was also evidentiary, in that I have done literally thousands of sessions that I have documented with clients, and I have seen transformative change in a heartbeat. In the space of 90 minutes, I have seen transformative change where someone comes in crying and the world's coming to an end, and they leave and they're changed, and their perspective is changed, and their emotional state is changed, and something that had plagued them for their lives is gone. I have seen it over and over and over again. And that defies the predictive model of the past equaling the future. We can bolster the probability of the past equaling the future when we take the past and put it squarely in front of us as a model. That can help us predict the future, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It can be, right? But when we argue for our limitations, when we argue for the past and put it in front of us, then that is a way that we can bolster the likelihood that we will get similar results. And the question is that what we want? Is that what we're willing to settle for? The thing is, things are going to unfold the way they do. The things that are unpredictable are going to reveal themselves. The things that are predictable are going to reveal themselves. And we have a choice about whether we're going to worry our way to whatever happens, or we're going to dance on the way to whatever it is that's going to happen. We have the choice about that. And it can potentially affect the outcome. It absolutely can potentially affect the outcome, and not necessarily, right? But the thing is, if things are going to go downhill, we might as well find a place of peace and joy on the way, rather than ruining these moments, each moment that we have, each precious moment, rather than ruining that by projecting all this stuff forward. So it comes back to presence again and again and again, that when we are present, rather than projecting this negativity from the past, when we are present, we can at least have a greater capacity and potential to perceive opportunity that might not have otherwise been perceived, where we focused and immersed in this notion of a troubled past being the future. So even with the climate crisis, even with the health crises we face, even with AI and its potential perils, whatever the perils are, we do not know what's going to happen. We did not globally, although some people did predict globally, we did not predict COVID. And who would have imagined, although some people did, that we could shut down the world like that globally? That was, to me, in a backward way, knowing that something like that can happen is one of the most hopeful things I have experienced. And it's hopeful because it is a change that happened in a heartbeat, that was global. And what that means to me is that there is possibility for change. What that means to me is that the unthinkable, the unpredictable, the unimaginable, the impossible can indeed happen. We've seen it. We've seen it. And we may say that that was a negative occurrence. We may say that that was a negative manifestation, whatever value you want to place on that. The thing that I get from it is that it was transformative globally. And it shifted our way of being. I'm not saying that there weren't tremendous tragedies as a result of that, of COVID and what happened globally. But I'm also saying that there were some wonderful things that happened that I see, is that people started looking at what they value in a very different way. And some of us experienced a much greater sense of unity, like how small the world is, and possibility, like that the whole world can align around something. Not to say that everybody was aligned in their opinions or beliefs, but that something can happen that actually becomes a global conversation where action occurred related to that thing. And so I don't believe that we had an event that would have predicted that we had that the galvanization. And so yes, we look for validation of possibility. You know, that's what COVID was for me, is a validation of possibility that might not have ever otherwise been considered. You know, that we can actually come together on the planet. Um, I and that we cannot predict the future. Again, although some people did. You know, that something can happen that just makes everything veer into another direction. And it often happens around crisis. Unfortunately, you know, it'd be lovely to have it happen around something joyful. And that may be possible too. But the point is, we act as though we know what the future is going to bring, and we don't. We truly don't know. Things come out of left field. New technologies emerge. New patterns occur. And in so many ways, we see that cultural change progresses at a snail's pace, if at all. But on other fronts, there's radical transformation. When we looked at the adoption of ChatGPT in AI, it was meteoric. And our conversations around AI have been evolving rapidly, and more and more of us are using AI more and more overtly and integrating it more and more into the foundations of our lives, not even knowingly necessarily. I mean, look at browser algorithms and the social media algorithms. All of that's artificial intelligence. It's just coming into a more popular conversation. We're seeing it be more prevalent. We're seeing it be more direct. We're able to use it in a more direct way. But we truly cannot predict the future. And some of us might find that really deeply unsettling. And some of us might find it liberating. And it's important to recognize that when we argue for our limitations, we are creating a case. We are structuring our reality. We are putting up the scaffolding for the reality that we then live into. And when we argue for our possibilities, or when we step into our possibilities and potential, we're creating that as well. And so who are you going to be? Are you going to be the one who insists on the bleakness of your future? Or are you going to be the one who opens the door to opportunity and possibility and anticipating that possibility and appreciating life on your way? Opening heart and soul to what's possible, and propagating that. Do we want to propagate limitation, or do we want to propagate possibility? Where do you choose to live? I mean, we create our own castles. We can create squalor and strife in our heart and soul and project that bleak vision into our future. Or we can create beauty and potential and joy and connection and love. We really do have the power to be creating these things. And so much of it is through the power of our own conversation. I recently adopted a practice that has been transformative, as silly and simple as it may be. And that is, rather than waking up in the morning going, oh, instead of that, for example, waking up and saying, good morning, magnificent life. Good morning, world. It reminds me of this little kid that I heard about a long time ago, who just would wake up every morning saying, yay, it's today. We get to create that too. What do you prefer? What are you choosing on a moment-to-moment basis? What are you choosing? And what are you generating? Because we can create our magnificent life with all kinds of wonderful surprises and gifts and adventures in any moment. Or would you rather argue for your limitations and why you can't do this or you can't do that, or how everybody is this way and everybody is that way, and it's this kind of world and it's just struggle and strife? What do you choose? And what do you choose to create? Because it's there for all of us to do that. That's what we do all the time. We do it all the time. The question is, and actually, we most often do it in a very unconscious way. So what happens when we recognize, oh, I'm perpetuating that. I'm continuing that story. I'm creating my experience by the stories that I tell, by the stories I choose to believe. So question the authority of those stories. I mean, this person was saying it all comes down to numbers and statistics, and the statistics show this, and economic theory shows that. And I said, I don't care. It doesn't come down to statistics because there are all kinds of factors that change the experience. And we are that factor. Our consciousness, our being, our intentionality, we are that factor that can create transformative change in any given moment, at least in our own experience. So I invite us all to curate our stories carefully, with care, with attention. And that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And as always, it's a privilege and a pleasure to share these musings together on what it is to be human and what kind of world we can create individually and together. So until next time, so much love to you.